Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session number 3. I hope all of you guys have a good time working on the homework number 2. I hope the homework number 2 is not too hard for you guys. And I really wish you took the opportunity to practice your JavaScript skills. And today we are going to cover a lot of very exciting stuff. And we are really fortunate to have Akshat here to give us a workshop on how to implement your first video chat applications. I know we still have 3 more minutes to go. The actual session will actually start on time. I just want to hear from you guys. Do you guys have any issues with the homework? Any problems so far? How's the homework going for you all? I guess it's working pretty well for everyone, huh? Yeah, let's. We still have 2 more minutes. Let's hang tight for a couple minutes, and then we can get started. For those of you who just joined, welcome back. Glad to see you all. Actually, let me start sharing my screen. The session is going to. We'll get started in 2 minutes. So, also, actually, I should take out this one. We don't need an attendance sheet right now. And 1 more minute. Alrighty, it's 6 o'clock. Again, thank you everyone for those of you who just joined. Welcome to the session number 3. And this couple session is going to be very helpful for you guys to make your first video chat applications. But also at the same time, it's going to be harder than the previous session as well. So I will really recommend you pay attention to the session and then really trying to watch the recordings after the session, and then really try to fully understand each single steps in the process. So before we get started, there are some questions and problems raised by some of you. Number one is some of you have mentioned you guys have difficulties in submitting the homeworks. I just would like to show you guys some ways that you may have missed to see the homework. Let me show my screen. So as you can see, if you access the Agora All-Stars portal, this is what you will see, right? And then on a normal, in the ideal situation, you should be able to see Agora Certificate Program April 2021. For those of you who did not see it for some reason, maybe you saw it for the first time but missed it for the second time, I would really highly recommend you to check out these tabs. You will see pending approval, later, completed, especially on the later one. Usually if you dismiss a challenge, it will not be able to show on the available one. So you have to go to later one to actually see the challenge that you dismissed. That's number one. And number two, if you still have an issue accessing the submission portal, there is not a problem there. Feel free to compile all the links, all the required documentation within the Word document, and then send all the document to community@agora.io. Then you will be still qualified for the certificate, for the certifications, and then we will send the certifications to you once your project is approved. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Today we will talk about, it's a session full of a lot of stuff. We will talk about the video stream delivery logics. It's better to understand the logic behind it. Like, for example, like how does it work in order to have people to be able to see and talk to each other when they're in two different locations. And then Aksha will take you to the sign-up process, app ID, and then also the most important part, how to add the video chat SDK within your web projects. And then we will also talk about the join, subscribe, how to set up the local and remote streams for one-on-one situations. And then last but not least, we will also teach you how to set up multiple remote streams. So let's talk about video delivery. When you, let's say you open up Zoom, you open up FaceTime with your friends, with your family, have you ever wondered how does that work on the back end? Yes, it is actually more complicated than you expected. As you can see, this person, I will say person A, and then this guy is a person B. In order to allow person A to talk and see the person B, she has to, her device will have to pack her video streams. We call have to pack the video stream through the encoder algorithms. So essentially, imagine that's algorithms to pack any like data package. And then after it packs the data package and then split to different smaller packages, the packages will be sent to the SDRTN, which is our proprietary cloud network, to different servers and locations to jump between locations. And then at the end, the video package will be able to send to the person B's local device. And then the video package will go through the decoders to be able to compile all those video streams together. And then you will see the person A from the person B's device. I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but that's the really basic understanding of how does the video stream works on the back end. If you want to learn more about those like technical knowledge on the back end and all the theories, we are also launching a new Agora certificate program on the non-technical version to really dive deep about like these theories and those technology on the back end. If you are interested in this program, let me know. Please send your email to community@agora.io, and then I will let you know when we have the next sessions open up. And then I will give it to Aksha to get started with the technical process. Aksha, I'm going to give you the screen sharing access.
Sure. Thank you, William. Hi guys, so my name's Akshat. I'll be your mentor for today. I'll walk you through a very simple process so that you understand how this actually works. Agora is a client-side SDK, you can say. Client-side in the aspect that it's not fully working on the client side. Agora has our own servers and they handle all the work for you. You don't need to write any, say, Node.js or Django code. All the sockets and everything are taken care of by us. So in order to do that, we provide you with an SDK, and you can use that SDK with some custom code, callbacks, etc. And you can make your own video calling application. So that's not the limit. You can also have cloud recording. You can have real-time messaging. You can send messages. You can record your calls, anything and everything to make an application at par or maybe even better than Zoom. So let's get started. The first step when you are actually trying to do this is you go to this website called console.agora.io. I've just put the link in chat. So I'll just log out for just to explain you the basics. So when you open console.agora.io, you'll come to this site called SSO, uh, and you can sign up over here on the top right. You just enter your name, your company name, your email, password, and you sign up. You'll have to verify your email, and once your email is verified, you can go ahead and log in. So it's a very, very simple sign up form. You just enter a few basic details, and once you're done, you can begin logging in. You can also use GitHub authentication, Google sign in, and it just makes it easier for us. So now, once you have logged in, you'll have to verify your phone number as well. So after you follow these steps, you have a full-fledged account. So now that you have an account, this is the main dashboard. So if you see, you have different, you have the balance you have in your Agora account. You have any messages from Agora, say there was a new SDK update. So you get a message over there onto your dashboard as well. You have useful links, which can either help you get started with integrating Agora into your projects, or you have API references, code samples, product overview. Like I mentioned, you have different products, cloud recording, real-time messaging. You can get an overview over here. So you can also track what's going on in the call. Say you have a call and you want to know how long did users join for. You can track that using the Google Analytics, Agora Analytics. You can also track other different stuff like how long the call lasted, how many people joined the call, when did someone join, when did someone leave, and you can also create a custom billing application on your own using that. For example, if you make a video calling application, you'll also be able to track which particular event or call uh, lasted for how long. So now that you have seen the basic dashboard, on the left hand side, you have a sidebar. So this has the overview, Agora Analytics, Project Management, Billing Center, Member and Role. So if you've worked with any cloud computing platform like say AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Azure, you would have heard about IAM, where you can give users access to your resources without giving them the actual passwords to your organization. In a similar way, you can do that for your developers, your business managers, etc. You don't need to give them your main account with which you just signed up. They can just join that. Once you do that, they'll be able to log in directly. For the sake of our project today, we'll move straight up to project management. So this is the third option over here. Once you go to project management, you will have an empty dashboard over here because you won't have anything created. But you'll also have this create button out here. Just click on create and you can enter any of your project name. For the sake of this webinar, let's just say webinar, let's say demo. And you have two options. One is secured mode, which is app ID plus token. And that is the recommended way because tokens usually help you add security to your application. So whenever you're making a application, it has to be secure so that no one can intercept, no one can mess around with your code, right? So in such a case, just just choose the first option, secured mode. But in this case, you'll have to make your own token server. That token server basically checks if the user is authenticated, if the user is actually someone who it should be and who should have access to it. And it will generate a UID and it'll send it to your application. And that way you can maintain security. But since we don't need a very secure application for the sake of this webinar, we'll be going ahead with the testing mode. Please note it is very, very important, as William said. If you do not choose testing mode, you will get a lot of authentication errors. You will have unauthorized and a lot more errors. So although it says recommended, for now, just choose the testing mode. So I have testing mode chosen over here. I'll just click on submit. I won't be saving that. It says webinar demo, right? And you can see the details that I entered over here, the creation date, everything are over here. And you have something called app ID. The app ID is something which you'll be using to connect with Agora's SDK, showing that yes, you are this user. Agora's SDK is something which has a lot of open source examples, but the SDK in itself is not open source. So you have the SDK itself, but you need something to connect to it. This is where the app ID comes into picture. This helps Agora track that, okay, this is your particular project, and you can use this to, as I mentioned, there's Agora Analytics. You can use this app ID for such things. App IDs also help you have a secure medium of authentication. It is the most basic and easiest way of authentication in Agora. Token server being the best, app ID being the least secure. But it is still a very important step, and you will have to create an app ID. Now, just click on this icon, and you can see something just came up. So it's been copied. You can save it over here. You will be needing this when we're coding. Just save it over here or let it be over here. You can click on this anytime and you can copy it again and again. So that'll be pretty fine. So far so good, guys. This is a very, very important step. Although it is very simple, what we did was we just logged on to the platform, chose project management, and created an app ID in testing. Is everyone following till now? If you guys have any doubts, feel free to drop them onto the chat. Perfect, Ryan. So now I'll give you a small overview of how the Agora RTC SDKs are like. So this is the main Agora IO website. So the link is agora.io /n. You can also change the languages to view the website. So other than this, you have all the features mentioned over here. You have voice call. You can make a voice application just like Clubhouse. You can make a video call application like Skype or Zoom. You can have an event platform with interactive live streaming like AirMeet. You can record all your calls, be it voice, audio, video, both, live streaming, anything and everything. There's real-time messaging where you get a socket and you can use it however you want for any kind of use case. And then there's analytics. But each of these has its own SDK. Either there's an API for cloud recording or there's an SDK for the others. So cloud recording and Agora Analytics are very special because they support REST APIs as well. You can use their REST APIs and work with them. But the rest have SDKs which can help you out. So in order to do that, just click on developers and you'll see documentation. Agora's documentation is really well made. It is all linked very well. So if you're stuck anywhere, you need any code for anything, you need resources, you want to understand how something is working, just go to docs.agora.io, which can also be found through the main website. And over here, say I want to start a video call. I just clicked on video call. It chose a platform for me by default, but I'll change it to web because we're going to be doing a web application right now. And you can see the platform has been changed to web in the URL as well. And there's video. You have an introduction. You can download the SDK. There's a GitHub sample project. For example, I'll just open this on a new tab. You can see we have different sample apps for different stuff. Open video call, React Native. There's a cloud class. You can get codes for all of them and start working with them. These are demo apps. There's a quick start guide. This is usually what sets the Agora documentation apart, because the quick start guides are so simple. They have codes which you can literally copy paste onto your code editor, and you can edit it a bit, and it implements the basic video calling. You can further edit that. You can add security, you can add UI. Agora's UI is fully customizable. You can add everything, and you can understand how everything is working. There are proper flow charts. I'll be explaining this while coding, so I won't be touching upon that. But this gives you a proper brief of what's going to happen. So it's a very, very advanced quick guide. Uh, and it's not just for video calling, it's for anything you can think of. All the features, all the products I mentioned, everything has a quick start guide. In addition to the proper documentation. The proper documentation is for different other features. Say you want to add something like muting, unmuting, you want to add beautifying. You can beautify your face using Agora's SDK. You can mix music into the stream. You can blur the background. You can do different stuff using the Agora SDK. And all those features can be found in a proper API reference over here. Yeah, there's one thing which you really need to know though. The Agora SDK for web is divided into two parts. One is the 3-point series and one is the 4-point series. The 3-point series is the older series which has a lot of features, but the 4-point series is the Agora Web NG SDK, which is the next generation SDK and the latest SDK. All the latest features, different fixes, etc., are going to be implemented over here, and it is very well in production. And you can use the 4-point SDK as well. The documentation is pretty clean as well. For the purpose of this webinar, we'll be following the SDK 3 because it's a very simple, straightforward SDK with a lot of documentation and sample apps, and it'll be easier for you to understand this. Once you learn this, you'll realize that migrating to the new SDK isn't very hard. So you have all the features over here. You can click on say create client. It'll give you exactly what that API particularly needs. For example, there's create stream. It says this method creates and returns a stream object. So you know that you're going to be returned something in this. So that's about it for the theory part and how you can explore the SDK on your own. If you have any doubts, again, do put them in the chat. I'll begin with the actual coding. So now that you have your app ID generated, you know how you can make the products using the documentation. We'll try to implement the documentation on our own to make a very clean UI with some awesome features. So I'll just share my other screen. Yeah. So in our last class, we had learned basics of JavaScript. Aditya had taught everyone the basics of JavaScript, and we had also done form validation for our product, so that if you're trying to log in, someone cannot enter, say, a password which has lesser than 8 characters, or it's not empty. For example, when you're logging in, people usually are lazy and they just click on login, but there's no details. So you cannot actually verify an account. So in such a case, these JavaScript validations are very, very important. For today's session, we'll be creating a new file. Let's call it video call.html. Sure, Adi, I'll increase the font size a bit. Thank you. I hope this is fine. Cool. Great. I'll turn this off. Yep. So now we have a very simple application we'll be making. I'll use the same CSS components we had CSS classes we had made for the previous two sessions. For example, we have the container, we have the left pane, we have our right pane, so that these are divided into two halves, the left side or the right side. Okay. You asked me where did I get the JS file. So these JS files are from our previous sessions. We had two sessions already where Aditya had covered the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's a very simple code. Aditya will just share the link to our GitHub repo, which already has these, and you can refer that and you can code along. But don't worry if you don't have that code. We'll be working on everything from scratch today for the new part. So since I'm using VS Code, Atom, they have emits. So I'll just use an emit. I just type exclamation mark and I click on enter. So now I have the base code for my HTML file. Let's call this video call application. So I've just created a new HTML file. I've laid out the basic meta tags. There's a meta tag to define viewport so that if you want to make your website responsive, that is if it works perfectly fine on all screen sizes, be it mobile, be it laptop, be it a big screen, be it a desktop monitor, it all looks the same and it does not look like the website broke. So these all come by default through emits, and I've set the title. Now we'll begin with setting up the basic video calling HTML file. So let's just visualize something. Say you want a proper website. We're going to have a big container which has everything inside. So in that, since we're going to use something like last time structure, we'll have a left pane, we'll have a right pane. All that will be inside the big container we just spoke about, and we can have say a form which collects your channel name on the left hand side, and you can have your video shown up on the right hand side, and you can have all the other users in the channel to be displayed below your photo. This is a very simple UI. Don't get worried if you don't understand how it's going to be looking. We'll build it from scratch right now, and you'll see how easy it is to implement it. So I'll just type div dot flex container. So again, this is an emit. This basically creates a division with the class flex container for me. This is the main big container. We'll add the CSS for this later. This CSS was not present in the previous session because it is a very basic padding or something we'll be adding up. Now, as I mentioned, we'll have a left pane and a right pane. So I'll just begin with the left pane. Div dot left pane, and now div dot. We'll have a simple logo and say okay. Oops. Let's add an image as a logo. Do I have any images out here? Yep, I have the Agora logo. So if you clone the repo Aditya just sent, that has the image in it from before. You can just type assets Agora logo. You can put any logo of your choice. I'm just using the Agora logo since it's already installed, and let's just call it logo element. I guess this looks good. So image tags are self-closing tags, so I'll just close it over there. Looks like I think you can visualize how it's going to be looking right now, but I'll just run this onto my browser so you can see how it's looking. Cool. So if you can see right now, whatever we just coded, we have a big container. Inside that, there's a left pane, and the left pane starts with the Agora logo out here. That is my company's logo. I'll just create a form below this to accept the channel name or user ID. And once you submit it, we'll have a box over here which displays your photo and video, sorry. And we'll create another box or a few more boxes to display the videos of other users in the channel. It's very, very simple. So are you guys following along till now? Okay. So I'll continue with the code. Let's begin with this. Okay. So as I mentioned, now we'll go ahead with the form. So this is the left pane. This is the logo closing over here. Yep, perfect. Let's add a span class to say heading. Let's call it heading text. Join a call. You can say join a call. Then, as I mentioned, we'll have inputs. So input fields are basically to accept a UID. UIDs are user IDs. It can be your name, it can be your email ID, it can be something which sets you apart, so that Agora's SDK knows that this is a unique user and his video stream needs to be different from another user in the same channel. Now I'll just type text. I'll put an ID equal to username. Sorry. Then there's placeholder, enter username, or let's just put something like username which is small and easy to read. If you know the basics of HTML, there's something called value. Values basically can help you have your tab pre-filled in case someone does not put up anything and your field is not required. The default value will be used. For example, there's John Doe. Since we are in development, it's very painful to keep typing values inside the input field again and again. So I usually follow the approach where I put up values. I'll just scroll a bit so you can see this. I have the habit of putting up values so that you don't need to enter it into the input field again and again upon reloading. But you can, the value field in this input field is optional. You don't need that. Say I have put up an input. So right now I have the big container. I have a left pane. I put up a logo, a heading, and one of the input fields. So this is the user ID. And say there are many people in a call. That's fine. But how do you segregate that this is a call? And this person should not be added into the call between, say, William and I are on a call. Aditya wants to join our call. So he needs to know where we are in a call, right? So that place where we are in a call can be called a room or a channel. And the channel name has to be taken by the user, or it can be auto-generated by application. And Aditya will join that particular room. Say someone else wants to join, say there's someone called Rohit who wants to join review room B, which is not the same room as ours. Ours is session stream. So in that kind of case, he will enter another channel name and that will redirect him to another channel. So that's why we'll be inputting another input called channel. Input type text, ID equal to channel name, placeholder equal to channel, value equal to Agora demo. So again, input field, so it's a self-closing tag. Now that we have two inputs, we also need a button to submit whatever we have done. Otherwise, it's pretty much useless. So you can either use on clicks or you can make it a submit button. For now, we'll use on clicks to realize through JavaScript if the button has been clicked or not and if the form had been filled. So let's just call it submit button. and we give it an ID called join. So this is our application as of now. Okay, I guess it became too small. Yep. So we now created a new input field for username, channel name, and a button. So that's about it for the left hand side. Whatever I showed you will be on the left hand side. That has been made. What do I do for the right hand side where the actual content will be displayed? I'll just create two more divs, and using JavaScript, I'll put whatever video stream I'm getting from the Agora SDK onto those boxes. So it's going to be very, very simple. I don't need to put any content. I'll just make two empty divisions. I'll put an ID for that, and we'll get whatever we need. So I'll just open another div dot write container. So if you see our previous index.html, which we had made the previous sessions, you will understand that these classes already exist, and hence I won't really need to write a lot of CSS. Right pane. Add the left pane, now comes the right pane. Div. Uh, so now I've created a div. As I mentioned, we'll have empty divs to put up our own video streams. So let's just call this self stream because it's putting my own video on top. Below which I'll add something called remote stream. Remote stream is the stream for any user that is not you, but is still in the same channel. So div id equal to remote stream. So it's a very simple UI right now. We are done with the UI aspect of this. Again, I'll just show how it's looking. So if you see our current code, there's join a call, there's a form with the default fields. If I remove it, there's username written, channel written, and a join button. This does not look really appealing, so I'll add some CSS, and what I'll do is I'll add something to make the heading a bit bigger. I'll put everything on new lines so that it looks like a professional form. And then the boxes which are empty cannot be displayed, so I'll add something like a border to those boxes. It's going to be very, very simple. Let's move ahead with the coding. So as I mentioned, we are yet to add CSS to make it look appealing. So what I'll do is I'll add a link href equal to styles.css. So this is a CSS file which already existed from last time. Oops, okay. Del equal to style sheet. Just link your previous style sheet from previous sessions, and you'll have a much better looking UI right now, but that still won't be enough. I'll just show you how it looks. Yep, so if you can see now, there's a blue border, everything's looking more professional, but it still isn't up to the mark. We need to add a few more CSS for the new classes which we have made, for example, the flex container or the submit button or something like that, the right containers with the right pane for both the streams. As I mentioned, like both the streams will have a border around the divisions, so we can assign a min height, min width, etc., and get it to work. So let's begin with adding a few styles. Cool. So I'll open the same styles of CSS file. You can see body container, left pane, logo container, form, heading text. All these are pre-existent codes which we had used for the previous project. What's going to be new now is we're going to add a flex container. That's going to be the first thing. Because we're going to be using a flex box, we'll just type display flex direction row. Then there's, sorry, it's a class I had made, so it should be a dot. You have the right container which we started, right dash container. Again, a flex box, so display flex. I assign a width of 100%, so it covers the entire portion, and a height of 100% as well. So it's going to be the maximum position on the right hand side, which is not covered by the content on the left hand side. So the entire portion which is not already taken. And since it's going to be left and right, it's a column, right? So we're going to use flex direction column. And now I'm going to align items to the center because there are going to be two boxes in the right container. It'll look very weird if it's on the left and right. Let's keep it in the center. And now comes time to edit the boxes. There was one called self stream. This is where your video will be displayed. Let's add a margin top of say 150 pixels so that it does not stick to the top. There's justify self center. Then there's a border, 2 pixels solid, and I'm going to use the Agora theme color. So it's 099 DFD. You can see that it's a bluish color, which is the Agora theme color. Now comes the width. The width is 800 pixels, and then there's height 500 pixels. As I mentioned, I'll give a minimum height and width because as I mentioned, Agora's SDKs are fully customizable. You choose how it looks, how the video stream comes. You can make it a circle, you can have a square, you can have something very big, you can have something very small. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just showing you how you can make a customizable UI. So once that is done, I'll just copy stuff for the remote stream as well. I'll just copy this and I'll call this remote stream. Let's align text, align left. Let's change margin top to 20 pixels because otherwise it will be too much. Justify self center is perfect. Border is perfect. We'll reduce the width because say I want to see a bigger image of the person who is the call. Say you started the call and you want to see a bigger image of yourself. So I have a bigger width for self stream and a smaller one for this. I can also reduce the height in a similar way. Let's make it half of that. Since so basically the self stream will be totally double of what the remote stream will look like. So I guess that's about it for our CSS. Let's just view how it's looking now. So perfect. So as I mentioned, sorry, excuse me. I have a big box over here. I have a small box where the big box is where my video will come. Small box is where someone else's video will come. We have a professional form. You can join, etc. I'll just add some padding because everything is sticking to the sides. Once we add the padding, we can begin with the coding of the actual video call application using JavaScript and the Agora SDK. So I hope you guys are following. If you have any doubts, we'd love to help you out. Just drop a message on the chat. Okay, so I guess I'll add some padding to the body itself because shouldn't really make a big difference then. Okay, what's the biggest? Uh, okay, the flex container. I can add something to the flex container, I guess. Yep. So what I'll do is padding 15 pixels. So this will add padding on all four sides. And now you have a flex container with some padding as well. So that's about it for our HTML as well as CSS. Now comes the time to add the main functionality. This is the fun part as well because if you're a person who likes thinking, JavaScript is going to be your thing. And with JavaScript, you can do a lot. It's really fun to work around with JavaScript, explore different stuff. So before moving on, to implement Agora's SDK, you will need to import the Agora SDK itself. So I've put down the link onto the chat. Just use this. Uh, just before the body closing, type script src equal to and paste the link I just sent. So if you open the link and see, it's going to have code for the Agora's SDK, and this makes use of Agora's backend. And as William mentioned, how the video calling actually occurs, that's going to be handled through this medium. And this SDK uses your app ID, which I had created right in the start, and helps you implement whatever your requirements are. So now that I've imported the Agora SDK itself, I'll just create another script where I put my actual JavaScript. Let's call this Agora rtc.js. Perfect. I guess that looks good. Just a small recap. I have my HTML. There's the basic meta tags, and in addition to that, I've linked my CSS file. This is my title. I have a flex container with some padding which I just added, and a few more stuff like flexbox because I needed two columns inside as well, and there were different rows with logo, title, input fields, submit button. So all that was handled using Flexbox, and then comes the right container, which again has the right pane, which has two boxes which are empty right now, but will have your video streams later. And they have a border to make it look very professional and match the theme of the website. Then we imported the Agora SDK. This is very important. You have newer versions, as I mentioned. The next generation starts with 4 point something, so you can go through the Agora website and find that. Now let's start coding the core part of the Agora SDK. So let's move on and sorry. If you go through the documentation, I had showed you that there are particular code snippets which you can paste, but just for your understanding, I'll start coding from scratch so that I can help explain what different stuff do. So obviously when I code in JavaScript, I make a lot of typos, I have a lot of errors and everything. So I always create a function to check for errors. And the same way, Agora's SDK also returns a lot of errors in case something went wrong. For example, if your net connection is very weak, Agora's SDK will tell you that your net connection is weak, so it reconnects and starts working on its own again. So for such a thing, I'll create a function called handle fail. It's this is a custom callback I've just created. And right now what we'll be doing is we'll just console log. That is, we'll open whatever error is there as a log. So this will come under the DevTools of whatever browser you're using, be it Brave, Chrome, Safari. Um, then this is just something which I like to do in the start. You can put it in the end as well after the main functionality is done. But I like to lay out a few functions which I'll be definitely using here and there beforehand. So now that now that I'm handling the fail condition, I'll have an option for adding the video. So right now this may seem a little sudden, but I'll explain why I'm doing this. Console.log, let's say adding video. Let remote container. Again, if you remember, remote stream is basically whatever is not mine, which is the other users. So I'll use document dot get element. These are basic DOM functions. So remote stream, I'm just accessing the ID remote stream. That is the division which I had made below, which was there at the bottom on the right pane. So I'm accessing that using this remote container. I'm assigning it to this remote container now. And now let's add a stream div. Stream div equal to document dot let's create a new element. There's create element, yep, div. So I'm creating a division for the stream. This will be embedded inside wherever I want. I can append it wherever I want. We'll be appending it inside the remote stream for any other user. I'll be adding code for adding my video, that is my local video, separately, because that is going to be displayed separately, and all the other people joining will be using this function add video, and this add video function will basically handle the video stream for any other person who is not you. So I've added a new stream div .id equal to stream ID, which I am getting from the function parameter. Okay, so that's there. Now I'll just add a minimum style to the minimum height to the division. Let's name it 250 pixels. Sorry, and then remote container dot append style stream div. Okay, so all this must seem very sudden, I understand. Now I'll explain what I've done right now. I've just created a function which will be called again and again whenever a new user joins. So whenever this user joins, they get a stream ID. We console log that, okay, we're adding video of one more person. We find the remote container. We are getting that through the ID remote stream, which we had put up in our right pane over here. You can see over here, the bottom one. Then we create a new div using JavaScript, call it stream div. We assign its ID through what we have gotten from calling the function as an argument. We assign a minimum height because if you remember in the CSS, I had set the height as 250 pixels. So I want to cover the whole box and have a border around the video, right? So I put the same height over here. Otherwise the video will be too small or too big and it may not look nice. So I've assigned height, and then there's append child. I'm actually appending the division I just created with the video stream into the remote container. This is how the video which is coming is going on to the HTML file, because we don't have it directly put up there. But now, since there's a function needs to be called, right? And a function will only be called when something useful happens. Say a click function or a load function. You need to have a callback which does something. And if you remember, I created a form for inputting the user ID as well as channel name. So I'll use a click function, as I had already mentioned while starting. So if you remember, the ID of our button is join. So I'm going to be using join document.getElementById join dot on click. Now I'll start a callback function. Yep. So now I'll input the channel name. Channel name equal to document dot get element by ID. This is why I love using code editors. They have a really good autocomplete, so you don't need to type the whole thing yourself. Otherwise, coding is a real challenge. So what I'm doing right now is, sorry, it has to be value. Yep. I'm taking the channel name to the form. I just copy this and I'll edit the variable names for the user ID as well. The ID of the first input field was username. Let's just put this as username as well. Cool. So whatever value was there in the input field, on clicking the submit button, I'm assigning it to a variable in JavaScript, and let's add our app ID equal to. Now app ID, if you remember in the starting, I had created an ID and I told you we'll be using this later. So just go forward with it. Click on ID. So I've pasted the app ID which I had copied from the Agora console. So right now the three basics required to start a video call from my end as a user are there. You need an app ID for the basic authentication and to know that this is your application. You have the channel name to know which room to send someone to, and username so that, for example, on this video in Tulula itself, you have my name written. So that can be considered my username or my user ID. It'll be unique. So it's preferred you usually have registration numbers or email IDs which are unique, but you can also have names as usernames. So once this is done, now the first step to using the Agora's SDK is creating a client. Without creating a client, you cannot use the SDK. So we type let client equal to Agora SDK dot client dot create client. My bad. Create. This is not a JavaScript function per se, but we are able to use it right now because it is something which works with the Agora SDK. Agora RTC is a keyword through which we are getting as an export from the Agora SDK. And the create client is a function for the same. You can set mode. You can set the mode as either RTC or live. I'm going to set the mode as RTC. Live streaming is basically one way, that is the speaker speaks and no one else can join and speak. Or you can have two or more hosts itself talking to each other. But RTC is a normal video calling application. It stands for real-time communication. So I'm going to have that. Then we type codec. You can either have H264 or VP8. So I'm going to be using H264 here. It totally depends on the browser compatibility. So both VP8 and H264 have their own advantages and disadvantages. Some browsers support one, some browsers support the other, and some browsers support both but work better with the other. So depending on what your user base uses, you can find that out through something like Google Analytics or something. You can set your codec, or you can also keep a drop down in your website and take it from that input field, like what is codec the user wants to use. Say someone is on their phone, they would prefer you. Say I'm an iPhone user. I would choose H264. But say I'm on my laptop or PC, I usually use VP. So you can assign your codec like that. It's just for compatibility. So now I've created the client. So basically, this tells the SDK that okay, I'm going to be using this client object with this particular mode and codec to do different stuff. So now that we have created a client, we'll use the client for something, right? So I'll use client.init. Again, this is not a JavaScript function. This is an Agora function. And if you go through the docs, you'll see that what are the parameters needed. So app ID is needed. Now I'll create a custom callback inside itself, which says Agora RTC client connected. Okay, and let's use the handle fail in case it fails to generate whatever was needed. This will come into picture. Okay, the equal number of brackets. Yep. So right as of now, what I've done is I have a handle fail function which logs whatever errors come up. I have a add video function for I have an add video function for adding whatever remote streams we get onto the UI. Now the whole Agora part actually starts when someone enters details and clicks on the join button. To do that, we assign the values to variables. We have the app ID. We create a client with a mode, either RTC or live codecs. We assign them. Then we initialize our client. Our client object has now been initialized. Now we'll join a channel. Client.join null. So if you're using a token, you enter something over here. But if you're not using a token server, as I chose the testing in the console, if you remember, you'll use null. Otherwise, you'll use your token server to give proper tokens for authentication. If it's null, it'll work. If you enter something else which is not a valid token, it'll drop an error. So I would recommend putting up null over here. Then comes channel name, username. This is your user ID basically. This is the syntax for what the Agora SDK needs to join the channel. Now I'll create another callback. Now let's initialize our local stream. Agora RTC dot create stream video true, audio true. So what I basically did was we have a client join function. As of now, what I've done is I've just initialized my local stream. I've said yes, this will have video as well, this will have audio as well. Now I've created that, but as you can see, the color is different. I've not used this local stream anywhere. I've just created the stream. So to use it for something, I just type local stream.init function. You just type local stream.play. Play basically plays whatever your video is there onto the self stream division that I had made, if you remember. This is again an Agora function. Console.log, say app ID, and I'll put the app ID. Yep, so I've put the app ID. I'll put the channel name as well. Channel name. Again, dollar. This is syntax for putting up JavaScript inside HTML. Channel name. There you go. And now that we have initialized and played it, what we'll do is we'll publish it. We'll publish whatever stream we're getting locally onto the local stream. Sorry. Perfect. Looks good. Um, so now we're good to go with this part. So my join function has equal number of brackets. Yep. So right now I'd given you a recap till init. Now I'll give you a recap of the join function. So I'm using the client object and joining it. I'm passing the token as null, channel name, username. I'm using a local stream. I'm creating a local stream rather with the video and audio as true. I'm initializing it, playing it onto the div. I'm console logging whatever channel and app ID is being used, and I'm publishing the local stream. Now we'll be using two very simple callbacks which Agora gives. Client dot on stream added. As you can see, there are so many awesome functions which the Agora SDK gives to us, which we wouldn't have been able to do with core JavaScript. Okay, console.log added stream client. Once you add your stream, that is, it is published, right? So once it's added, now you need to subscribe to the stream. Subscribe. You will be getting the event as a response from the Agora SDK. So don't worry about what the event is, etc. It will automatically be given. And let's just give a handle fail. It is a typo. Yep. So there's this for the stream object. Oh wait. Yep. So there's the stream added. There's also a stream subscribed. I'll just copy this and I'll edit that. So once you click on publish, once your client publishes it, the stream added callback is called. Once your stream is subscribed, you have the stream subscribed callback, and it says subscribed stream. Yep. And now I'll put up let stream equal to event dot stream. You will get an event from this callback as well from the Agora SDK. Now I'll call the add video stream function. If you remember, I had created a function in the top where we give a stream as parameter. Yep. So this is there. And now stream dot play, because if you remember, I played my local stream. I need to play this as well. Stream, this is for the remote streams. Get ID. Yep. So right now I'll walk you through the entire code again. We have a function add video, which is getting a stream ID, which I'm sending from here to the stream subscribe callback. So whenever a stream is published and subscribed, this callback will be called. And when I get the success, it will add the video stream with that particular stream. I'm using the get ID function and I'm going to add it over there. Sorry. There's a stream added callback where I'm subscribing. I'm just walking backwards now. There's publish. You need to publish your local stream, which happens after joining a call, which is only possible if you initialize your client object using the app ID. You set your modes, you set your codec, and all this starts when you click on the join button. So all this looks good. Now let's just test how it's working onto the browser, because we need to see if it's actually working right now. Okay, so I'll just share my tab. I know we are running out of time, so I'll try to end this up quickly now. Um, okay, I guess my laptop's lagging. Just give me a minute. Yep. So I'll just open it again and it should work now. So I hope you can see my developer tools as well. I'll just use the defaults John Doe and Agora demo to join. It's asking for my camera permissions, and perfect. Voila, you can see my video has been added onto the local stream container which I had made. I'll just open this on another tab to add another user. Let's call this user John. Let's call this user Akshat VG. Agora demo, that is the same channel. Okay, so it's giving me the callback. It says that a user with the new UID has joined. Um, yep. So there's error in stream added event. Handle fail is not defined. Stream added handle fail. Event.stream handle fail. Okay. Let me just reboot that. I had a small typo up in my code. Yep. So you can see that my video has been added below here as well. And one of them is from the tab on top, one of them is on the tab below. And you can see that whatever I'm doing is coming on both the things. One is the top one is my local stream, the bottom one is my remote stream. And it all starts by asking for camera permissions, which will happen right here onto the web application itself for every user. There's one more thing you should know. You won't be able to run your code unless you have a live server extension, or you put this up with some kind of local host, because you need to open it with an HTTP local host while testing, and the Agora SDK only supports HTTPS in production. So if you want to deploy a website, say on Netlify or a custom domain, it needs to have HTTPS, because if you put HTTP, it will not work. The Agora SDK will put an error. So a lot of clients come up to us saying their application works perfectly locally, but it's not working on their AWS EC2 instance. That's because they do not have an SSL certificate installed onto it, so you're not able to open it. So what you can do, something as simple as installing the live server extension, and that should technically work. I'll just share the live server VS Code extension. Aditya had also shown this in the previous sessions, but I'll share the link anyways. I'll be pushing this code onto the GitHub repo and it'll become easier for you to follow along. Uh, are there any doubts? I'll just wait for a few moments and I'll help you clear them out. Were you able to complete this thing so far?
Cool. Thank you, Akshad. I think we're a little bit over, but that's a
Yeah.
great sentence. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to send it in the chat or reach out to us through emails or Slack channels. We're always here to support you guys. A few things I want to mention before we wrap up this sessions. Number one is the homework. Yes, we have another homework today. So the homework number three is trying to figure out the process how to end an unsubscribe a call. So actually, I already show you guys how to join and subscribe a call, and then it's also important to hang up the call. So it's we challenge you to trying to figure this out by yourself. We have resources like documentation, just like Aksha has showed before. We really recommend you to check out the documentations. And then if you really get stuck, don't worry. We will dive deep about into this process in the next sessions. I just want to emphasize the final deliverable. The final deliverable is due on Friday. I believe this coming Friday, the midnight Western time PST. And then we will also be online on Friday 6 to 7 the same time. Probably not on live streaming channels, but we will be on the help channel. So if you have any questions in your working on your final deliverables, please feel free to join us the office hour on Friday, and then we're happy to answer any questions you have. So okay, and we're a little bit over time. Thank you so much, Xshot, and then I think we can wrap up here. And again, like let us know if you have any questions or concerns. We're always here for you. And I hope to see you the same time on Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, William. Thanks, guys. See you. See you next class.
Yeah, indeed.